Just hours ago, President Trump called me to tell me he is, quote, pissed off with Russia's President Putin.
Is Donald Trump beginning to feel the pressure?
You're in no position to dictate.
After berating Ukraine's president in the White House, now he's getting angry at Vladimir Putin, perhaps worried he's being played by the Russian leader, with no ceasefire seemingly forthcoming. Trump is set to call Putin this week in what could be a pivotal few days for his second term.
These tariffs will result in over $100 billion.
Because Wednesday is so-called Liberation Day, when the US will launch tariffs across the board in what Trump sees as a much-needed shake-up of the global economy. While Trump has announced a tax on imported cars, other details about his tariffs are still unknown. The UK is trying to sort out a deal with the White House, but has not ruled out retaliatory tariffs, which Canada is already threatening.
We will fight the US tariffs with retaliatory trade actions of our own that will have maximum impact in the United States.
The effect on American businesses and consumers could be crucial, given the economy was Trump's strength in November's election, and as some voters begin mobilizing against other maneuvers by the administration. This weekend has seen demonstrations across the country at Tesla dealerships, with protesters angry at owner Elon Musk, whose Department of Government Efficiency has made sweeping cuts. But these Tesla takedowns were in Democratic strongholds like Maryland and Washington, D.C. What about in Republican districts?
Tax the rich! Tax the rich!
This was the scene in Indiana, as voters confronted their Republican congresswoman, voicing concerns about tariffs, immigration policies, and the sharing of U.S. war plans on a group chat with a journalist.
We demand the immediate resignation of Pete Hegseth, Michael Waltz, and the rest of the group chat.
No, I will not demand their resignation.
The Signal scandal involved National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, whose former seat in Congress is one of two up for grabs this Tuesday. Republicans are worried about keeping their slim majority in the House. Hence, President Trump just withdrew the nomination of Congresswoman Elise Stefanik to serve as the UN ambassador so as to avoid another election. Because in Wisconsin, also this week, there is a crucial vote for a seat on the state Supreme Court, with Elon Musk once again plowing millions of dollars into the race. Democrats are crying foul, but these elections will be the first test of a Trump administration unafraid to push the political limits.
Well, earlier I spoke to the Democratic strategist Matt Bennett and asked him if Donald Trump's more adversarial approach to Vladimir Putin is a sign of cracks beginning to show in his administration.
I think they are. I don't know if this Putin statement is one of those cracks, but it's clear that the incredible screw up over the Signal text chain certainly was the first time that Trump has kind of lost control of the narrative and the news cycle in this administration.
If President Trump is having his toughest time yet, where is the opposition? The Democrats are all over the place, aren't they?
They are. I think on one level, that's not surprising. We're only 2 months into this, and Democrats have been confronted by dozens and dozens of actions by the president that no one saw coming. I mean, that he would try to take Greenland away from Denmark. No one anticipated that he would be firing people like researchers into cancer. And then the other problem is we don't really have any power. There's only two ways to slow down a president in our system. One is through the courts, and one is basically public opinion. And that has been the place where I think Democrats have been slowest on the uptake.
So what, in your view, is the recipe for taking on Trump, then, that might work for the Democrats?
What they really have got to do is separate the signal from the noise, is focus on the things that are going to affect voters in very tangible ways. Raising prices through tariffs for no reason at all. We had a perfectly good economy that tariffs are only going to harm. That's the kind of thing the voters can understand.
So you think that there's almost like a Trump trap, and the Democrats end up defending quite niche minority positions, institutions that the public doesn't necessarily like very much?
Yeah, I think trap is a really good word. The Republicans have been very skillful about baiting traps for Democrats, and we have walked into them over and over. We can't be the defenders of the status quo. We can't say that bureaucracy is perfect and doesn't need to change. We need to be the ones saying, look, sure, we need change, not this change. No one voted for this chaos.
But you know who didn't do that, who didn't have a particularly focused message and who just sort of threw jelly at the wall and criticized everything? It was Donald Trump, wasn't it? I mean, he just said Biden was bad, just full stop. And he wasn't particularly strategic for the first sort of 2 or 3 years.
That's true for the first couple of years. But by the time he got to his campaign, his paid ads were incredibly targeted. And that's what we've got to do to him. If we're because he has real vulnerabilities. If we don't exploit them, then we could be right back where we are now.
I've seen Republicans say, well, hang on, what if it works? What if the economy improves? What if the tariffs work? Then you're screwed.
Yes, I think Democrats are willing to take that risk. It's very clear the damage that Trump is doing already to our economy. Prices are going up. The stock market is plummeting.
UK exports are facing, like much of the world, a swathe of Trump tariffs this week. Do you think the UK, well, they seem to be trying to charm Donald Trump? Is that the right strategy, or should we be more Canada and stand up to him?
It's a really tough problem, and I'm glad that I am not the prime minister of a country that's supposed to be allied with the United States at this moment, because it's pretty clear that trying to take on Trump and make him look bad is very risky. It's all about the way he believes he personally is being treated. So I think Prime Minister Starmer had the right approach.
Matt Bennett, thanks ever so much for your time.
Thank you.